Watch Coach Prime, an all-access look at one of the greatest players and icons in NFL history during his first season as a college football head coach. In the 6-episode documentary series, we follow Deion Sanders' mission of leveling the playing field between HBCUs and Power 5 programs. It's Prime like you've never seen Prime before. Only at Barstool Sports. Presented by Chevy Silverado.
Hello and welcome to My Mom's Basement, presented by Barstool Sports and 3Chi. I am your host, Robbie Fox, and today I've got a variety show for you. We are kicking things off with Colin from Foxtrot and the Get Down, talking about White Sox Dave's rock star debut this Saturday. It's going to be amazing. I can't wait to hear the stories from it. And then we will get into 3 interviews I did this week with some of the AEW roster. That's right, Anthony Bowens, Eddie Kingston, and the Gun Club. Austin, Colton, and Billy Gunn. I've got timestamps in the description, so if you want to skip to any of these interviews, go ahead. And before we get into it, I want to remind everybody about our presenting sponsor, 3Chi. 3Chi is the industry leader in Delta-8 THC products. All of these products are formulated by a biochemist, made in the USA with USA-grown hemp. I tell you guys each and every week, I don't leave the house without my 3Chi pen. I keep it by my side at all times, like Han Solo and his DL-44. I love it. They also now have root beer taffies, Delta 8 ball candy, and disposable vapes. The disposable vapes, those things are a lifesaver. Remember, this is CBD mixed with THC, so it's not just CBD. It's psychoactive. It will give you a buzz. Please use it responsibly. Please use it responsibly. Must be 21 or older to purchase. If you are, go to 3chi.com and use the promo code MMB at checkout to receive 5% off your order. All right, let's get into the first of our many interviews with Colin from Foxtrot and the Get Down. Hello and welcome to My Mom's Basement. Welcome back to the show. I am now here with Colin from Foxtrot and the Get Down, and On the Guest List, a podcast that is kind of a cousin podcast of Barstool. I feel like at this point, I'm on it all the time. Dante's on it all the time. White Sox Dave is on it all the time. And this is a big week for White Sox Dave. He's got his first show ever. Colin, tell everyone about White Sox Dave's first show.
Mother of God. First off, Robbie, thank you for having me here today, dude.
I've
been wanting to come on My Mom's Basement for a while now. So backstory here. White Sox Dave around a year ago had texted me after he'd come on the podcast before it was on the guest list. And White Sox Dave said, "Hey, man, I know this is going to sound weird, but will you teach me to play the guitar?" And I was like, "Sure, what the fuck? Like, whatever, man. Sounds great." And fast forward now, we have Dave coming on stage with us, Foxtrot and the Get Down, while we open for Jane's Addiction, The Offspring, Cheap Trick, Dorothy, who's awesome, Dirty Honey, a bunch of bands.
Decent lineup.
Decent lineup at BB&T Pavilion in Camden, New Jersey, which is like, if you're going to go see Dave Matthews, Grateful Dead, any of the big. So this is our first show back, and we have Dave coming on stage to play Highway to Hell with us.
I cannot wait. I literally cannot wait just to see what Dave looks like as a rock star.
I have no idea, honestly. Like, we've been running it as a band just because we don't usually do covers during a set like this.
Yeah.
But we had the Knox, who are like a really big DJ duo. They came on the podcast, and we asked them for their opinion on what Dave should play. And they were like, "Dude, you need some cocaine dad rock." And we were like, Highway to Hell, baby. It's gonna work. I think I have all the confidence that Dave was gonna try his hardest. I don't know.
I also know, and I encourage everyone to check out Foxtrot and the Get Down. You guys are very talented musicians. I feel like even with Dave on guitar, even if it goes poorly on his end, you'll get through it. You'll make sure everyone is clapping for Dave by the end.
Look, we're already a 7-piece band. We can hide somebody. You know what I mean? Like, so I already know I'm going to talk to our sound tech before and say, like, hey, maybe ride Dave's fader.
Yeah.
I mean, we already have a secondary show lined up in Chicago for afterwards. So we have Dave's
Homecoming.
It's going to be a rise from the ashes situation. Who knows? Maybe Melt's Faces on the 25th. I have no idea, but
could you imagine just goes knee slide friggin' losing it on the guitar? Who knows? Like we've never even seen him play. It's like when we have like Ben Askren's debuting in the UFC and everyone is going, well, we don't know. He could be the best in the UFC or he could be the worst in the UFC, but he's never fought.
I mean, Rob, I'm sitting here on My Mom's Basement, and we have a podcast that we have every week with somebody from AWOL Nation, Dante, and White Sox Dave from Barstool Sports. I've seen weirder shit happen in the past year. Like that would not be the craziest thing that I've seen.
No, and I wanted to get you on the podcast to talk about songwriting specifically because you do a lot of songwriting. Pup Punk is coming back. We've got a show for like advertising up front, so we keep joking that it's the least punk rock crowd we're ever going to play to. But I wanted to talk to you about songwriting because we want to get back into it. I've been talking to Roan literally almost like every day about like how are we going to do this? How are we going to do an album? How are we going to do this? How are we going to do that? Do you remember the first song you ever wrote, Colin?
The first song I ever wrote was called Vacant Sun. And I have a very faint recollection of how it went, but I was a senior in high school. And
I was going to ask, how long did it take you to start writing music?
Well, so I've been playing guitar since I was 8.
Yeah.
I've always known that I was a musician, but I'm from Northeast Philly. It's not something that's like lauded to be like, oh, that dude's a musician. It's like, all right, you fucking loser, like go throw a football. And so like I really didn't dive into it that heavily until senior of high school music tech class. I already knew how to play all the instruments, so I didn't really have to worry about that. I had extra time to kill, and I just started writing songs. And Vacant Sun was fucking terrible. Other than that, like, I mean, going through, I remember like early Foxtrot songs, like 2011 when we were just meeting in college, like just these awful songs, dude. But like,
were you like trying to be like a specific artist with the early Foxtrot stuff?
Oh yeah, dude. And it's not someone that I try and Jack Johnson.
Oh, like, really?
Yeah, I was in a very heavy reggae phase at that point in my life.
Wow.
I don't know what it was, but I remember like those early days. And I think when you guys really start to dive in, you're gonna like be trying to be other people.
Oh, and then, of course. I mean, that's sort of our thing. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you guys are literally trying to be other people. But I mean, when you start to really dive into it, like, no matter what you do, you're going to wind up sounding like someone else. Like,
of course,
you can't have a fully original thought. You're going to steal from somebody. And
even the best do that, right? Yeah.
Everybody, any songwriter that won't tell you where they took their ideas from is a liar.
Yeah.
Like, realistically, I'm also a believer that like songwriting, not to get philosophical or like religious here, I think songs come from somewhere else. Like you're lucky enough to channel them. And I think like it's the people who put the time in and like really like hone their craft, because there's a lot of shoddy songwriters out there who aren't like pushing to get better and learning different things. But I have no doubt that between you, Roan, Frankie, and PFT, you can come up with something.
Well, that is one of the things I wanted to ask you. When we're actually trying to be sounding like a certain genre, like the pop punk of the 2000s, something that a lot of people are doing right now in like different ways. MGK, which I saw him last night. I wanted to bring this up on the podcast with you. Something that I've never seen before. They make an announcement. Hey, the concert's got to be over because of lightning. We're about 85% of the way through the show, so it's not a big bummer. He had a 30-song set list. I saw most of the things that I wanted to see, but he just decided no. He said, nope, we're running another song. Went right into Jawbreaker, and as he's playing the final chorus of this song, they're making the announcement like, the show is now over. Please clear out. And he's still going over it. It was some rock star shit. He brought up Travis Barker. I've had tickets to 5 separate Blink-182 shows that were canceled, or I couldn't go to them due to work, or postponed. I literally had tickets to a show where Travis Barker got tonsillitis and it got canceled. So like, I've been through it all, trying to see Travis Barker drum, getting to see him get up on stage and drum like one of my drumming idols. That was awesome. Mod Sun got on stage, Ian Dior got on stage. But as we're trying to sound like a pop punk band, what would you recommend us trying to do?
What I would do, honestly, because I know how you guys work, I would take the people that you truly love, the Blink-182s of the world, all the pop punk bands that I know that you love, even Oasis. If it's not the same thing, at least take from what they do, study the way that they write their songs, their progressions and things like that, and their chord changes. Like I was talking to Andy Grammer for our podcast last week, really big songwriter. He's written for everybody, had a bunch of #1 hits. And he said when he was coming up, he loved One Republic. Big songwriters, nerd band, whatever. And he would take Ryan Tedder's song structures and map them out for every single song that he would do. And I've never done that. I've
Kind of
never
like a reverse engineer.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
But if there's a certain special sauce that you're looking for, you have to go and dive into the greats that have done it. Like, don't think that you're better than them. You know what I mean? Like, these are the originators. And there's so much to pull from now because pop punk is an evolving genre.
Yeah.
The MGKs of the world. And you're talking Ian Dior and Mod Sun, all these people that are doing it now. If I were you, I would go throw headphones on, sit with your boys, sit with pop punk, and say, like, I love how they did that. How did they get the chorus to jump like that? Why does it sound so fucking good? But more than anything, I would even suggest, if you're going to get into the process, find a producer. Find a producer who
that's
you trust.
one of the big things that we've always been saying. Like, if we had a producer, that would be like the missing piece that could just kind of jumpstart the whole process. Another thing, when you write music, does melody or lyrics usually come first?
I'm a weirdo. I'm just going to say this is not a normal process, but I'm kind of a one-shot songwriter to where, like, I'll sit down with my book and I'll already have a melody idea in my head, but the words come right with it. It's very rare for me that I write the word. It's very rare that I write the words at one time, like straight poetry. It's not how I operate. Or I just write a melody line and there's nothing to it. If one's happening, the other's coming with it.
Kind of do it together. Does it come naturally? Do you feel like has it always come naturally?
Yeah, for me, I'm not someone. I don't like to teach people how to do things because I was
going to say, for me, I feel like it does not come naturally at all.
But for someone like you also have you have such a curious mind. Like, you are so interested in things, and you're someone who could learn, and you love music. Like, number one, you love the process, so it's like you can learn it. But I mean, for me, like dude, I'm talking like 2015, like our first time in a studio in Nashville. I thought I was Bruce Springsteen, Bob Dylan, like the smartest motherfucker in the room. And I'm in there with people who toured the world. They're owners of record labels. And I'm in there like, nobody tell me how to write my song. It's just such a pretentious douchebag. And then I listened back to those songs and I was like, why did they suck? And then as I've moved on, it's like, I've opened the doors to writing with people around the world, like the asshole Kenny Carkeet, who is my co-host on the podcast, who has the second longest charting single in human history, Sail by AWOL Nation. Writing with people like Kenny and Luke Dick out of Nashville, who writes for Miranda Lambert, and just going and working on Music Row, or even working with my own band. Like, you learn to take other people's opinions and what's good about them and bring them together. Like, it's such a collaborative thing. And if it's not, then you're either the greatest to ever do it or you're not going anywhere.
Yeah. Where do you fall on the spectrum of people always like artists that write their own music, of course, but you're a songwriter who writes music for other artists sometimes. So, like, how do you make that authentic? Where do you fall on that? Because, like, you also write your own music, so you got to have some pride in that.
Well, I know when I'm writing something, whether or not this is going to be a Foxtrot song or this is something that I could pitch out to somebody else.
Oh, yeah.
It's a right away. It's also, I just know what my band sounds like.
Yeah.
When I was younger, like when I'm talking like teenager, like when I was first starting, like if you would have told me somebody else would sing my words, or I would dare to sing somebody else's words, I'd be like, do you know who the fuck I am? Like, and that's such a bad way to look at it. And it's like, I've talked to so many people on the podcast about like really big artists being like, was it hard for you to sing other people's words, or vice versa? Someone like Luke Dick, who I just brought up, who got nominated for a Song of the Year at the Grammys last year. His most popular shit is sung by other people.
Yeah.
And I said to him, I was like, was that a weird adjustment? And he's like, dude, my ego died a long time ago. It's really, you go through ego death and you learn like the joy is in the songs.
Yeah.
And I'm also not somebody who's going to sit here and tell you, like, with a voice like this, you really think I'm going to like let anybody else sing my words? No, like, I sing because I like it, but like, I'm never going to be the kind of person who's like, these are for me. Dude, if somebody who's better than me wants to sing these words and you can do it justice, take it, bro.
I was going to say, you brought up Oasis before, which I bring up on every podcast, of course. And I look at Noel and I'm like, that's who I want to be. I want to be the guy who's in the shadows, writing the songs and giving them to a cool ass front man. And it's like, yeah, put some angst into this, put some rock and roll fury into this. Like, yeah, do what you must.
As beautiful as Noel's voice is, he'll never be able to bring Liam's, balls to the front of the stage. That's how, That's Liam Gallagher. Like,
yeah, Noel brings the soul, Liam brings the balls.
Yeah. And I mean, but as long as they know that, which I'm not sure they do, because obviously they're both still kind of like trying to take that frontman spot, like whatever it is. But I mean, when you start to figure songwriting becomes a real thing when you start to figure out collaboration. When you start to open yourself up and grow and learn, before that, everybody goes through their "I am the songbird of my generation." They're like, nobody can ever write anything better than this. And I mean, it's Prince is sitting behind me, right?
Yeah.
Few people know this, but there's actually a record that came out right after he died called Originals. Prince actually wrote most of the hits of the '80s for other people.
Oh yeah. I mean, Nothing Compares to You, right?
Nothing Compares to You.
Yeah.
Manic Monday by the Bangles. He
Crazy.
wrote that, and he put out a whole record after he died of the original demo versions of these songs.
Oh wow, I gotta check that out.
I mean, dude, me and you have talked about Kanye. Kanye has like 50 songwriters on every song. It's like, but why does he get the results that he does? It's collaboration, man. That's what it's all about.
And it's like shunned nowadays. You see this, people will post the like, this song took 17 writers and this song by the Zeppelin was just written by, and it's like, well, it's also like different times. There's like, they were limited back then, and now we have a bunch of resources.
Yeah, well, not only that, like if you're gonna use the Zeppelin argument, all of Zeppelin won from Blind Willie Dixon songs. So like everybody gets it from somewhere. Rock and roll came from blues, fucking rap evolved from R&B and everything like that. Like nothing's original, actually. Like everything comes from somewhere else. And the quicker you accept that, the quicker you start writing better songs and you start collaborating. Like that's truthfully how I feel about it.
You were saying Jack Johnson inspired like the early Foxtrot stuff. Who are the people that you're pulling from now, and not necessarily like trying to emulate, because Foxtrot is very much an original thing now, but who are the ones that you're really feeling inspired by?
Oh, wow. That's a great question. It's very odd. Like I haven't been listening to a lot of Weezer, but for some reason, a lot of the stuff that I'm doing has these very sweet yet manic Weezery undertones, which I like. I don't know where that's coming from. It's just,
dude, I've had a huge Weezer summer. I've never been super into Weezer until I saw them on the Hella Mega tour.
Yep.
And like I started listening to their set list a little just to get ready for that. And I was like, Weezer is pretty fucking awesome, man. And they put on a hell of a live show.
I mean, that to me is like when you think about modern songwriters and people who take these like very sweet nostalgic melodies, but then they fuck you up with 6 electric guitars that come over the top. That's what I'm talking about. But I also pull so much from this new country. Not art. Americana would be more the word that I'm looking for here.
Yeah.
Brandi Carlile, I think, is one of the greatest songwriters and artists alive right now. Jason Isbell, I have a poster of him right behind me. Last record that made me cry was Southeastern by Jason Isbell. That's another one. But I mean, I listen to so much hip hop. We've talked about this too. Like I love rap, and I don't know if it's affecting me in a way in my songwriting phase, but right now I'd have to, very oddly, which is I wasn't expecting to say Weezer. That's just what's coming out of me right now. And give me the Weezer money. I'm fine.
No, absolutely. Have you heard their Van Weezer album?
I wasn't a fan.
Listen, I wasn't like over the moon about it. The level of which they chased down that sound and nailed it, though, was very impressive to me. Like, there was one song on, I forget what this name of the song is, but the way it opens, you're like, oh, no, this absolutely could be a Van Halen song. And it's like, listen, if you're 50 years old, Rivers Cuomo, however old he is, and deciding to do that to have fun, all the power in the world to you.
They are fully in their fuck it, let's have fun phase, which I love. And Robbie, I this just clicked in my head too. Me and you have had so many conversations on my podcast about pop punk music, right?
Yeah.
To where as a kid, that went over my head. I was like such a little like fucking early 2000s kid, like listening to like Zeppelin thinking I was cool. And then as a 29-year-old adult, like I'm going back and listening to like Chiodos and Say Anything. Like I'm like, that's interesting me right now.
Yeah.
The way, and you'll know this, the way pop punk choruses hit, I need to know how to synthesize that and inject it directly into my
anthems.
brain.
Yeah,
dude, it's
the people that write them, the people that write good pop punk choruses write some fucking great pop punk choruses.
Who are your favorite pop punk choruses? Like who are your favorite pop punk songwriters?
Alex Gaskarth, All Time Low. Obviously, got to shout him out. Mark Hoppus and Tom DeLonge are the classic ones, but like those choruses still go harder than anyone else's choruses. Derek from State Champs.
Yes.
Incredible right now. Like State Champs are killing it. I actually just checked out. Do you know Turnstile?
I've heard the band. I don't know their music by say.
So I just checked them out because I went on Pop Punkers, the subreddit, and they were getting a lot of album of the year hype for Glow On, this new album. I said, all right, I'll check it out. And it's produced by, I forget his name, Mike Ellie Monzo or something like that.
Okay, yeah.
Produced in the Club by 50 Cent, and he was in the room when Dr. Dre discovered Eminem. So
What?
like, if you look up this guy's credits, I'm going to send it to you. It's crazy how many artists that he's been involved with, collaborated with. He produced it. There's like Blood Orange features on it.
Love it.
And it's way softer than their hardcore stuff. It's kind of like a pop punk alternative rock album. It's fucking incredible. And like these choruses are going hard. There's almost like a Spanish influence in the drums. There's a lot of like do ba do ba do
Let's
ba do ba.
go.
It is fucking sweet. So I would throw that up there. And then I would say everything from Neck Deep. Like Neck Deep knows how to write a fucking chorus.
Yes, they do. Abso-fucking-lutely. Dude, it's funny because Alex was the first person I thought of too when I think of pop punk choruses. Here's your first piece of homework for songwriting. Go listen to Weightless
Yeah.
and dissect it, because that chorus to this day is one of the hardest hitting choruses ever.
And the way they do it live, dude, is incredible nowadays. They actually, so get this, they were playing Reading Festival. I think it was 2012, 2013, and all their in-ears went out, like their monitors. And they're like, oh, fuck. So they just went into a cover of Damn It, because they were like, we know how to play this without a click. Like, let's just do it. And then the in-ear wouldn't come back. So Alex said, fuck it. Let's just do the intro of Weightless instead of the, you know, it's like kind of a techno, like right to a beat. So let's do it slow. I'll just play the chords and I'll sing it to the crowd, and then we'll kick in when it goes in. And it went so well that that's just how they play it live now. And I saw them like open a Nothing Personal show where they played it front to back with that. And the crowd was in the palm of his hands until they broke into that first chorus. And then just the whole floor was a mosh pit.
Dude, maybe it's not my weekend, but it's going to be my year. That right there, like, is such a stupid, corny lyric, but it just
it works. It's perfect for pop punk.
It's perfect. And that, like, once again, the good simple is what you're looking for. You're looking for the good simple. And once again, I'm stealing from my Andy Grammer interview recently. He says the good simple is perfect. The bad simple sucks balls. Like you're trying to find the most simple and concise way to say the most impactful thing that you can. So,
I'm gonna take that homework. I'm gonna write down, and I'm gonna have you back on the podcast in like, I don't know, a few weeks, months, when we put out a song that I feel like is like, all right, we put out a pop punk song. We're gonna get in the studio with Robert soon, I think.
Yes, dude.
And we're going to try to do something reggae with him, which would be fun as well. And like, who else better to ask than him?
When you guys go in, if you need a extra songwriter, I'm in Philadelphia. I make that trip easily. And plus, Mark Robert is my fucking boy at this point.
Yeah.
I would love to get in a room and be able to like Sherpa you towards the right area. Like, I love this shit. This is what like literally gets me out of bed in the morning, is somebody saying to me like, yo, take a listen to this. What can we cut out? Like, is there something? Because I can't do that myself. I have a drummer and like 3 different producers who edit my shit. But if somebody gives me something that's not mine, I can look at it and say like, that pre-chorus is dope, but your chorus sucks balls right through there.
Yeah.
Like, oh my God, that would be
dude,
I
would love for you to be the extra ear for us to lend this to and be like, nope, misshape that, do that. I'm excited for the videos from the White Sox Dave show as well. Tell the people once again where it's going down, September 25th, right?
All right, so here's the deal. September 25th, Camden, New Jersey. White Sox Dave, Foxtrot to Get Down. I'm doing our promo right now.
White Sox Dave in Camden, New Jersey is worth the price of ticket a load. Just like that combination.
I'm like trying to explain to our cameraman Dylan like what the run of show the day is, and I was like, just follow Dave. Just fucking follow Dave and see what happens. Like I'm dying for the moment when he's all cocky and shit, and then we walk out for sound check.
Yeah.
And there's like 10,000 seats and then an entire lawn, and he's just like, oh. Fuck.
You know what the best part of soundcheck is too? When you're on the stage and they're like, all right, give me kick. And then finally it goes in, you're like, boom, boom, boom. All right, that's what it's going to sound like tonight.
We already made a deal with the band that no matter what happens, when he comes out for sound check, we're just going to start playing Freebird. Like,
hell yeah.
Put a microphone in him and tell him that we're like fucking going to play Freebird. But yes, September 25th, Camden, New Jersey, MMRBQ for WMMR, Jane's Addiction, Cheap Trick, Foxtrot and the Get Down, White Sox Dave. Anything
Offspring. right?
Offspring,
I mean,
Dorothy, Eddie Van Halen's son is playing that day.
oh shit, he's got a new band, right?
Yeah, Wolfgang's coming through, baby.
Yeah.
Oh, they're
Also,
good.
if you're interested in My Mom's Basement and the album breakdowns we've done, we did an album breakdown with On the Guest List of Rumors, Fleetwood Mac. I thought it was an amazing podcast, came out well. It's evergreen. Go back, listen to it now, listen to it next week. It's the same as, when we put it out. It's an old album. We're going to do more of those in the future too. We got to schedule one.
Yeah, we need to figure out what the next record should be.
Listeners of this podcast would like that a lot. So go check that out for sure.
And if anybody has any suggestions on what album they want, I'm pretty sure me and Robbie can talk anything. So,
Yeah.
honestly, I think we might have to do either Definitely Maybe or What's the Story Morning Glory, because there's so many stories behind that, dude.
Dude, I would be so down. We got the documentaries coming out next week.
Oh my God,
In
I
theaters
forgot
too.
about that.
Nebworth. And they're going to put a live album on Spotify from it too, which is like, yes,
They have to be inching
more
towards.
content.
They have to be inching towards like at least a reunion show.
Dude,
in
Noel
Manchester.
said some nice stuff about Liam lately. He said, the Oasis reunion doesn't interest me, but he's keeping the flame alive. He's selling more tickets than me, selling more albums than me. I'm proud of him. And I'm like, proud of him.
Whoa,
Whoa.
yeah, what are we talking about here? Why don't you guys
said
kiss and
something
make up?
Yeah.
Bro, we had, because now Dante the Don is now an official co-host on the podcast as well. He was talking about on our list, because we do green room pick section, and one of the bands that he picked that he wanted to see was Oasis. And he said, you and him and Nate have a deal where you guys are going to fucking fly no matter where it is. I'm sure you'd be there no matter where.
I'll be there. I'll be
Oh,
there.
I know.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Even if it was in Abu Dhabi again, where I swore I would never go back to because of the 18-hour flight, I would go.
No weed in an 18-hour flight sounds rough for you, Rob.
No weed the whole time. It's super illegal there. If they find a nug, they put you in prison for 4 years, Colin.
Bro, you know the deal with, Future, the rapper, right?
Yeah.
You ever
He
heard
got
about-
into it where in like
Abu
France?
Dhabi.
Oh,
No,
and was in Abu Dhabi?
So he has a mixtape called 56 Nights.
Okay.
And his DJ Esco, who is his touring DJ, they found Shake in his bag at the airport, and he was in jail with no lawyer, no visitors for 56 straight nights just because he got caught with like specks of weed.
Oh, see, that's what I'm talking about. I would
But-
go there for Oasis.
That's the commitment that we asked for, Rob. Jesus,
Yeah.
man.
All right, Colin, this has been a fun time. I'll talk to you soon. I'll definitely talk to you after that show. Have to hear how it went.
Thank you, Robbie.
All right. Thanks, Colin, for joining the show. I do, as we mentioned, Colin's podcast on the guest list pretty often. So go check out their podcast feed. If you want to check out my episodes, scroll through it. You could definitely find them, but just listen to the podcast in general. It's a good music show. White Sox Dave, Dante the Don, Colin, Kenny from AWOL Nation. It's a blast. And if White Sox Dave needs something to wear on stage, I can hook him up with a promo code at barebottomclothing.com. That's right, Bare Bottom is back. Before you pack for your next trip, check out Bare Bottom Clothing. Their lineup of versatile menswear is perfect for getting it done this summer, this fall as well. They have the internet's best deal. You can get 2 unbelievably soft, lightweight tech tees and a pair of stretch shorts for under $100. I wouldn't recommend White Sox Dave wear shorts on stage. It's kind of a no-no, but it is what it is. Don't get caught with shorts below the knee. With their 5.5 and 7-inch inseam styles, Bare Bottom has your summer covered. Now, I do have joggers from Bare Bottom, maybe my favorite pants in my wardrobe. Not maybe, they are my favorite pants. I actually just wore them yesterday. Everything is built for value. You're getting the softest and stretchiest clothes in the game for a fraction of what you would spend with the other guys. Get free shipping on your first order at barebottomclothing.com with the promo code BASEMENT. That's BEAR, like the animal, bottomclothing.com, and use the promo code BASEMENT. And now let's get into the first of my AEW interviews with Eddie Kingston. Hello and welcome back to My Mom's Basement with Robbie Fox. I am here with Eddie Kingston ahead of this awesome Arthur Ashe show that's going to happen, AEW in Queens. I can't wait, Eddie. I just watched your video about this Arthur Ashe show in the lead up. I got goosebumps on my goosebumps. I can't wait to see you and Mox tear it up. I used to actually watch you back in the Rahway Rec Center in like 2014, 2015, like wrestling Dan Moff and Mario Bocara and all those matches. So I'm really excited, man. I go back. I'm a big time Eddie Kingston fan. How are you?
I'm good, man. Speaking about Mom's Basement, I'm in my mother's house. I came to New York early, you know what I mean, to get my neck checked out, get it all loosened up, train with Homicide and Amazing Red a little bit.
Oh, nice.
to see what, just to stay up on things because those dudes kick my ass, man.
How long ago was it that you and Mox actually met?
2000, I like to say 8 or 9. Yeah.
And whose idea was it to pair you in AEW?
Mox and Tony. That was their idea. You know what I mean? One day I was sitting there and they go, "Hey, we got this idea." And I went, whatever you guys want to do. You know what I mean? It took me forever to get on with the major company. So I'm just like, hey, whatever y'all want to do, we'll make it work. Let's go. You know what I mean? I'm here to do my job.
I mean, you guys really have made it work. It's so organic. And I assume it's because you guys have known each other, right? Like when you're in the ring tomorrow in front of 19,000 people, they're going crazy for you. That's a very real moment that you really only get in professional wrestling, right?
Yeah, it's when you put it like that, it's nerve-wracking, but I'll be in the zone. But trust me, I'll be in the zone. There'll be nothing running through my head but fighting. But yeah, it's natural with me and Mox because that's how we are in real life. Like if you see us hanging out, that's how we are. He's the quiet one, very stoic, and I'm the one busting his balls. You know what I mean? Trying to make him laugh in front of people. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And try to loosen him up.
So another thing I'd love to talk about is your match with Miro. I really loved it on the All In pay-per-view. It was so good. What was it like opening the show in front of that crowd? Because we all knew that crowd was going to be maybe the hottest of the year in professional wrestling, between the Punk return, between the surprises at the end, between the Ruby Soho debut. There were so many surprises, even Suzuki coming out. But what was it like kicking things off?
Man, all I can tell you is, so we have these ring steps that go up into the gorilla position, and then, you know what I mean, we go out. But I never run them. I just walk up them and I do my thing. I was so pumped up that I ran up those steps. And then I just remember going down to the ring, and it was like I just beeline to the ring because I was so pumped up and I was ready to go, and I wanted to fight Miro. I don't remember the match at all because I kind of just went into the zone.
Does that happen often?
You know what I mean? It's happened a couple times. You know what I mean? For big matches, I guess, for me, that I consider big matches, I just entered this zone and that's it. I'm not there anymore. It's full Eddie Kingston. There's nothing else.
Was there any inspiration for the entire finishing sequence with the turnbuckle and Bryce? Because I thought it was so well executed and piece by piece, it was flawless, really.
It wasn't flawless. I'm the hardest. I'm hard on myself when it comes to my matches. So no, it wasn't flawless. But no, the whole idea was just trying to tell a good story in the ring. You know what I mean? And everyone knows me. When I get in that ring, I'm gonna put pressure on you. I'm gonna fight you. That's my style. You know what I mean? I was trained in lucha. I was able enough to train with probably the greatest luchador teacher, Jorge Rivera Skyda. I was fortunate enough to train with some of the British guys who knew, their world of sport. And also me just asking questions about Japanese wrestling and their psychology and their mental in the ring. I was able to, pick up on that. But at the end of the day, I can learn all that stuff, but I'd rather just smack you and chop you and suplex you.
I would love to talk about your love of Japanese wrestling and their psychology and even the different styles you've trained in. When you go and wrestle in Japan, do you apply a completely new psychology to every match? Or is it just a different style, same psychology, universal throughout professional wrestling?
To me, in my opinion, it's feelings are feelings. Emotions are emotions. It doesn't matter what country you're from or what your culture is. Emotions are emotions. You know what I mean? So if you tell the right story and the right emotional story through combat, everybody will get it. It doesn't matter what, country you're in or what culture you're in. This is about emotion. We sell emotion. We sell fighting. We don't sell something else. You know what I mean? Professional wrestling is fighting. It's wrestling.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's it.
And what made you gravitate so much towards the Japanese style and that 90s Four Pillars era? What made you love that so much?
Well, it all started, I got to give the shot. I know everyone knows I love the Four Pillars, and Kenta Kobashi is my hero, and Toshiada Kawada is the guy who, I'm more Kawada inside. I have that spirit when I'm in the ring. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But I got to give credit first off to the Three Musketeers of New Japan Pro Wrestling, Keiji Muto, Shinji Hashimoto, and Masahiro Chono as the first guys to get me into Japanese wrestling. And that was because I saw the Great Muta in 1989 in NWA, and that was it. I was hooked. And then I saw Masahiro Chono in 1992 for WCW. And I just remember when he did the STF, Jim Ross lost his mind and was like, that was taught to him by Lou Thesz, and it's the greatest submission in wrestling history. And I was like, yeah, it is, I guess. Jim Ross says it is, and it's Lou Thesz, bro. It got to be, But because of them, I bought tapes, anything with Japan. I didn't know the difference between All Japan, New Japan, anything. And then I saw Kobashi and Kawada in 1995, I think in Osaka. They went 60 minutes. And what gravitated me towards that style, it was so physical that all the people who said, pro wrestling's acting or pro wrestling's fake, that evil word, I would just be like, watch this. Tell me that shit don't hurt.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Tell me that dude chopping you in your chest or forearming in your face or kicking you in your face doesn't hurt. You know what I mean? So that's what definitely attracted me to that style more, was the physicality of it.
How would you find tapes back in the day? Was it difficult?
Oh no, I would tape trade. It was definitely dope because I would tape trade and then get the tapes and hope that the tracking was right. For all the youngins who don't know, a VHS tape would come. You put it in and you will hope to God that it's the tape you ordered or traded for. You will hope to God that it wasn't grainy, or you didn't have to mess with little tracking dial to try to get that line somewhere. You know what I mean? That was probably the most difficult thing. Or if you tape trade and you sent it to the guy, then he didn't send you nothing back. Yeah, that was always fun.
The tape
You know what I mean?
scammers.
Also, wrestling fans, they always come together.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like at school, I was a knucklehead, hung out with certain people, but I also hung out with wrestling fans. I didn't have a core group. I went around. You know what I mean? I hung out with whoever made me feel good that day. Didn't piss me off that day. And I had friends who were wrestling fans, and they would be like, "Yo, I got this tape from so and so, and it's the Best of Japan '96." And I'd be like, "Oh yeah, man, let me check that out." And then you borrow it, and you send it to your next friend. You know what I mean? It's a little community.
Yeah.
So like, to me, to see how big wrestling is now from when I was a kid, when there was just this little secret community and only certain guys knew about like Japanese wrestling and other stuff, it's weird now to see how big it is.
Well, now that all of that stuff is so easily accessible with the internet, like what would you recommend to who maybe aren't into that stuff that want to get into it? Do you have a specific match or something that you could be like, yeah, check that out on YouTube?
Well, for anybody with the New Japan account,
yep,
I say I know some fans who love New Japan are gonna hate me for this, but I have a special place for this match in my heart. It's Chono versus Keiji Muto, 1991 G1 Climax. I remember watching that and going, first I saw it and went, oh, I know these guys. You know what I mean? And then I just was like, just taken aback by everything. The surroundings, the style. Masahiro Chono's never quit, never fight. Muto's athleticism, doing moonsaults. And, at the time, now we see guys do triple, quadruple moonsaults.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But at the time, we didn't see a moonsault in the States a lot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So seeing that, so that's definitely the New Japan thing. Also, just type in Walking the King's Road on YouTube, and my man Joseph will break down all the All Japan matches and how it went from Ricky Dozan to Giant Baba to the Four Pillars. You know what I mean? And he'll break that all down. Then you can look up the matches once he breaks it down.
Yeah, you get the history.
I think he's doing, yes, I thank him all the time for putting that out there, because I would watch the matches when I was younger, not knowing anything. Then I would go on AOL. Yes, guys, AOL with the dial-up. You know what I mean? It would take forever. But I would go on the message boards and type in, what is this? Why did they do that stuff in the match? You know what I mean? What's the story? Besides watching the technique? So, you know what I mean? I always wanted to be a wrestler. Watching the technique, of course, you have to watch first. Then you can get into the why. You know what I mean? And why is Why does Misawa and Kawada not get along? How is Kobashi now all of a sudden Masawa's tag partner? You know what I mean? And why did Misawa get the push when Tenryu left? You know what I mean? All this stuff, and I'm a firm believer in, if you're going to get into any business, doesn't matter what it is, any business you get into, you should learn the history of that business. You know what I mean? So when I got into All Japan, I was the first, who trained Giant Baba? And then I found out Ricky Dozan trained Baba and Inoki. And then I found out when Ricky Dozan died that Baba and Inoki split off. And then the difference between strong style kind of method and thinking and psychology with King's Road method and psychology. And I broke it out. I was able to find things and look it up. You know what I mean? That's why I say you got to learn the history. So when some young guys go, there was a young guy, I'm not going to say who, I'm not going to embarrass you. He's a good kid, though. At AEW, I was like, all right, man, so what's your style? Before I had to fight him. Before we had to fight someone else. What's your style, dog? He's new. I just want to check him out. And he goes, you may think I'm a mark, but I like strong style, And I went, no, you're a mark. Tell me about strong style. I'm that guy. You know what I mean? I'll bust you. I'll be like, tell me about it. Tell me And he just stood there, and I was like, we'll talk later. He's a good kid, so I was like, we'll talk later. I'll try to pass some of the knowledge I know on to you. You know what I mean? So you get it. So you understand why it's done a certain way. You know what I mean? And I'm kind of a hipster in that sense with New Japan.
I'm with you. When it comes to music, especially, you see someone wearing a band tee and you're like, you don't know one of their songs, man. I'm with you. You get that little feeling.
I'm the same. I'm the same way with pro wrestling. So I'm like, do you even know what the Three Musketeers are? Who trained Inoki? You know what I mean? What's Inoki? And I get into it, and then I go, whoa, I gotta back up. What am I doing? I'm a grown man. Why am I doing this? But it's the passion.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's true. It's the passion of. When guys say they love something that I love, like Japanese professional, pro wrestling, I want them to know. Mm-hmm. I'm not just busting their balls just to bust their balls to be an asshole. I want them to know the history of it. I want them to appreciate where it came from, and then they can, help or watch it, see where it's going.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
What was your first time in Japan like?
My only time in Japan was for Osaka Pro in September of 2011. And I didn't want to leave. I did not want to leave Osaka. I wanted to stay. I wanted to help. I was there with Kodige, who's now with Noah, Tadasuke, who's now with Noah, and Harada, who's now also with Noah. And I had a blast. It was everything I ever wanted. I wrestled every day. It was amazing. It was everything I wanted and more. It blew away everything. I was there with Ultimate Spider Jr. What's up, babe? If he hears this, big shout out. You know what I mean? So it was definitely, it was a dream. It really was a dream. And it was bigger than what I thought it would be. I didn't want to leave. I got to the airport and I was trying to figure out a way how I could stay and be a freelancer in Japan. And they were like, no.
Was there anything about it that was completely different than you had envisioned for, being a fan all these years? No?
No, everything was what I envisioned. You know what I mean? Everything was, and I was just blown away. And I was only in Osaka, and Osaka's a beautiful place. You know what I mean? And I was just trying everything. I was eating all the food. I was trying to get, the experience. You know what I mean? Because this is what I wanted. And a friend of mine, Ricky Reyes, hit me up before, and Amazing Red hit me up before I flew out. And Homicide, can't leave him out, my mentor. And they basically all said, hey, man, remember, Hanson, Brody, Dr. Death, Terry Gordy, all these Americans are taking the same trip you're taking right now. And I was like, wow, that blew my mind. You know what I mean? I'm on the plane like, oh, man, let's go. I just wanted to hurry up. You know what I mean? And I hate flying. But I was on that plane dancing, just ready to go with Fire Ant and Green Ant. And they're just standing there like, yo, calm down. Because they've never seen me like that.
You mentioned October 12th will be 20 years for you in professional wrestling in that video. What can a fan come up to you and bring up that you're like, oh, my God, that actually excites you about your own career?
Nothing. So I talk about mental health a lot.
Yeah.
And one of the things with my mental is that I never think I'm good enough. You know what I mean? I always think things can be better, almost to a point where it hurts me. You know what I mean? I do it too much. It's good to have that edge, but sometimes I do it too much. So when people tell me, hey, I saw this was great that you did whatever years ago, and I'm like, eh. And then I get my balls by my girl, by my parents, by my close friends that are very rare, my very close friends. And man, just take it in. Just take it in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was very open on another interview after the pay-per-view with Miro. I got a lot of attention from the match, and I had a panic attack that night because I didn't like the attention. Because
wow.
I don't see myself as this big Eddie Kingston on fucking TV, TNT. No, I'm a pro wrestler. It's all I ever wanted to do. That's it. I'm not a celebrity. I'm not an actor. I'm not anything. I'm just me. And I'm just a pro wrestler, man. And this is what I always wanted to do, and this is what I fought for. I was talking to Ortiz last night, and I was like, man, I spent all my 20s in pro wrestling, and now soon all my 30s in pro wrestling. This is what I love. So, you know what I mean? That's something I got to work on, accepting stuff, but that's my thing. But when people bring up, like, you brought up Rollway, I was like, oh, wow. You know what I mean? Or if someone brings up Allentown or little shows like that, I'm like, really? You remember that? And they're like, oh, you wrestled this person. I'm like, I don't remember that at all. You know what I mean? But it's always good, man. It's good when you have people who've been following. It's a great feeling. It's a great feeling. And then I get kind of like, you know, watch somebody else now. Watch guys I watch who are better, you know? Those are the guys that I'm trying to, I don't want to be, again, Kenta Kobashi's my hero. Stone Cold Steve Austin, Hot Stuff Eddie Gilbert, the Four Pillars, the Three Musketeers. Those are my heroes. I don't want to be like them. I want to be better. Now, I may never be better than them, but that's the goal. You know what I mean? That's the goal. And that's why I tell people watch them instead of watching me.
Well, I appreciate you being open and about the mental health and the panic attacks and all that. As someone who suffers from panic attacks and anxiety attacks myself, like, it makes it easier to talk about when people like you are going out and talking about it. Like Eddie Kingston, the tough guy, talking about it makes it a lot easier for the My Mom's Basement guy to talk about it. You know what I mean?
I totally get that. See, I never had that problem because growing up the way I grew up, it wasn't bad, but I saw things and I heard things. And my parents were always very open with me. They never wanted to hide anything, or they never took anything as being shameful. You know what I mean? They never thought trying to get help to better your life was wrong.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and they tried to instill that in me. So when I talk about my mental health issues, or when I talk about me on Zoloft, you know what I mean? I say it in promos. I take Zoloft so I don't kill everybody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And like, people are like, "Oh man, thank you so much for saying that." I'm like, "What's the big deal?"
Yeah, no, I get it too, because I talk about it, and some people say that to me, and I get it. It's weird, but it really does like make a big difference.
Yeah, and you know what? If that helps people with me talking, good. I'd rather be known for helping people with whatever, to open up and for that will make me feel better than wrestling. Trust me. I would love to still be world champion. Don't get it twisted. But that's the goal. But at the end of the day, if that doesn't happen, it will. But if it, something crazy happens where it doesn't, if I help people kind of open up more and not be ashamed of their mental health, or not be ashamed to talk about it, then okay, I won. Because I don't see the big deal of getting help. I don't see the big deal of, yeah, we're all whacked. You know what I mean? None of us are perfect. Honestly, none of us are perfect. Show me a perfect person, I'll show you a liar. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So what's the point of lying to ourselves? Because we have to love ourselves at some point, man.
Yeah.
Because if we don't love ourselves, then we can't love nobody else, and vice versa, all that motivational speaking shit. But it's the truth.
Yeah, preach.
Yeah, so take what you are, embrace that mother, embrace it, embrace who you are, and get better. That's it. Try your best to get better and love yourself. Because if you don't love yourself, you ain't going to love nobody else or let anyone love you. And that's what happened to me when I was younger. I didn't let nobody love me. I pushed people away because I was angry at the world. I was angry at myself. You know what I mean? And then, you talk to people, you see therapists, all this stuff, and you start to learn and slowly grasp things. Like Eddie Kingston is me at 17 years old, just turned up 1,000 notches.
Mm-hmm.
So pro wrestling to me is my therapy.
I think that's why it comes off so authentic too.
That. Thank you. Like, well, it is me just talking. Like, it's me. It's me. You know what I mean? If I say I'm going to smack you in the face or do something, I'm probably going to do it.
I mean, the video you put out, rides the line between Eddie Kingston, like the character, and the person. It's so real of what goes into this leading to Arthur Ashe. I just have a few more things for you. I know WWE pursued you as a coach for a while, and you had told Chris Jericho that you would feel unfulfilled if you had just taken that coach job and not gotten your chance. After your career's over and you know that you're done out of the ring, could you see yourself going back into a coaching role or even perhaps commentary? I feel like you've been doing really well on commentary.
Thank you.
Coaching, you seem to have one of those brains that just is, you have a mind for the business.
I would definitely love to do commentary. I would love to agent. I would love to help younger talent. There's some young talent that doesn't listen like I did when I was younger. And I would like to tell them it's not going to work out, man. Trust me, it's not. All this stuff that I like to tell the youngins, all this stuff today that you're fighting for, that you think is so important, I'm telling you, 2-3 years from now, you're going to look back at it and go, why did I even care?
Yeah.
Like, I look at my career and, like I said, calling the wrong people, like I said in the promo, calling the wrong wrestler on Mark. Next thing you know, he's a champion somewhere. And I'm like, well, not going there. Or telling a certain promoter, the F off and all this stuff. Well, not working there. And now I look back at it now and I go, that really wasn't that big of a deal. You know what I mean? I had to be all tough and street and, wasn't really that big of a deal now. And that's why I try to tell the younger guys, listen, shut up and listen. Because everything you think is a big deal now, a lot of it, a good percentage of it, like 98% of it, later on, you're going to be like, why? What was the point? But, everyone has their own journey, man. I can only lead. My girlfriend thinks it's funny. I can only lead a horse to water. If they don't drink the water, then I got to drown it. It's not a good horse.
There was some discourse about Chikara that got kind of toxic on Twitter recently, on social media. I saw you step up to kind of defend it and talk about why you and Bryce and so many people keep that company so near and dear. Do you want to expand upon that at all, or just talk about some of your favorite moments in Chikara?
Yeah, I'll expand on it. What got me was when people were saying I was trying to defend the actions of certain people in Chikara when I wasn't even there. I left years beforehand. My issue with the whole situation was we took that picture not to be like, hey, look at us now, F this, F that. No, we took that picture to show, hey, man, we stayed at it. You know what I mean? This is a celebration of us still working hard. Because we're not done. You know what I mean? And it wasn't about paydays. And see, I'm a big guy. I don't like it when people mention paydays on Twitter and stuff like that. I'm not a big fan of that. You know what I mean? The business part should stay in the back. But it wasn't about that, and I hated the fact that Bryce had to defend himself on that post. Like, hey, it's a celebration of us. It's not a celebration, And then when I said something and someone said something, I was like, you know what, man? We got Queens coming up. You know what I mean? We're in my state, as I like to say. We're in New York. I got Queens coming up. I have me and my closest friend Mox against Lance Archer and the legend Suzuki. You know what? I don't need this headache to deactivate. That's the way I looked at it. You know what I mean? And then everyone's hitting me up like I died. I'm like, no, man, I'm good. I feel good.
Like Andy Dufresne and Shawshank, God bless you. You got out, motherfucker.
Yeah, I was like, I'm done. At least, you know what? I don't know if I ever go back, but for at least this week, I wanted to focus, man. I didn't want any outside shit bothering me. I didn't want anything taking away my energy. I didn't want anything taken away from me trying to recoup and get ready for Queens. Because I feel like it's disrespect to Lance and to Suzuki and to Mox if I'm not 100% mentally there. It's disrespectful to all the guys in that match. And then it's disrespectful to New York and to Queens and to AEW. You see how it goes on and on and on. So I was like, I'm done. Just deactivate it. And I don't see the big deal. You know what I mean? I still got an Instagram. There you go. You can find the pictures there. You know what I mean? But I just didn't want to deal with his opinion. And everyone, look, my mother says it the best. Everybody, opinions are like assholes. Everyone got one, and they all stink. And that's it. That's why I deactivated it. I just didn't want to deal with it. You know what I mean? I didn't want to. I wasn't sad. Nothing messed me up. I was just like, before it messes me up, let me get out. You know? And I remember the day all this Chikara stuff happened, Bryce called me. And he was really down and out. I don't know the whole stuff that happened because I stopped reading it. Because it was during that speaking out. And that hit my soul. The speaking out. Like all this stuff happening. And I was like, whoa. And it's during the pandemic. We're all at home. You know what I mean? It was like, oh man, what? You open your phone up. It's this person, that person, this person. And I knew some of the guys. I was close with some of the guys. And I'm like, what is going on here? I actually talked to some of the guys that were accused of stuff. And I told them, yo, get help. Get help. That's all I can tell you. Get help. And I hope they are. You know what I mean? They will never be back at wrestling, I don't think, but that's fine. At least get help for your future. You know what I mean? But anyway, I digress. But all that stuff was so mentally whatever. So I didn't read anything about what happened with Chikara. I just didn't read it. And Bryce called me and I said, look, man, at the end of the day, no one can take away what we did when we were there. No one can take away that we were in Palo Alto with 8 people in the audience. No one can take away that we were in Pittsburgh once. I don't know, Wall, PA, I think, where the venue was like a little house on a hill. And if it rained hard enough with all the mud, we would have probably slid down. And there was 12 people there. No one can take away that we busted, the guys who were there, busted their asses to get us on iPay-per-view to do high noon. No one can take away that we had 1,500 people in Eastern Pennsylvania for the comeback show. You know what I mean? The first, I don't want to exclude anybody, but to me, the first 3 classes of 4, we were the guys who built that place. You know what I mean? We didn't bring it down. That wasn't us. Most of us were gone. Or most of us didn't even know what was going on because we were traveling other places. But they can, no matter what happened, they can't take away what we did. You know what I mean? So that's the way I look at Chikara. It's whatever happened when we were gone or behind closed doors is what happened. But what we did for that company and how we helped that company can't take away from us. Also, that company helped me. I got kicked out of my first wrestling school for arguing with my trainer about Eddie Gilbert and Kobashi because he didn't like him. Yeah. I was 20 years old. I was full of piss and vinegar. You know what I mean? I was still 1 foot in the street, iron working and pro wrestling. You know what I mean? I was an asshole. But
it sounds like you were right if you didn't like him.
It is what it is. You know what I mean? Right or wrong, I am what I am. But I remember that certain person emailing other schools telling them not to train me and my former partner, Blackjack and Jigsaw. Telling them not to train us because we're unprofessional or whatever. And Chikara said no. They already paid us, of course. And they said they're with us now. So yeah, of course I'm going to have a special place. Because without that happening, then I wouldn't have met certain people that got me to IWA Mid-South. That then got me to CZW. And then got me here. Then it got me to Ring of Honor. Then got me there. Then and so on and so forth. So no. When I say he never messed with me on my pay, was because I asked him for more money. And when he said he couldn't, I left. And a lot of people are like, well, Eddie, you can do that. No, anybody can. Anybody can. You just have to have confidence in yourself that if they say no and you leave, then you can make it. If you don't have confidence in yourself, then sit there, shut up, take the shitty payday. That was what I was trying to convey. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because it wasn't about that.
I appreciate
just,
you clearing it up.
sucks.
Yeah, it's good to know that the way you deactivated your Twitter, I've seen people being like, "Oh my God, they really upset Eddie," and it's good to know that
No,
you
no,
were
no,
doing
no.
that before you got upset.
Yeah, no, they didn't upset me. No one ran me off. I seen that, but my girlfriend was like, "You number one, babe. You know that's not me." But no, it was just I wanted to be focused for Queens. You know what I mean? I wanted to be focused. That's it.
I got you, and I'm so excited for Queens. Eddie, thank you so much for the time. It's been really cool getting to talk to you. I've been a big fan for a while, and I can't wait to see you and Mox tear it up.
Thank you, man. Now I'm gonna get me like some coffee and an energy drink, and then try to lift weights without hurting my body. Folks, wrestling hurts after a while.
Appreciate Eddie for joining the show. That was awesome getting to talk to him. And now our final ad read, and I could present the rest of these interviews commercial free, just like JR used to say back in the day, is with our friends at HelloFresh. Tell you what, my next guest, Anthony Bowens, the guests after him, the Gun Club, they look like a couple of guys on some healthy HelloFresh shit. Fall is busy, but HelloFresh recipes save time you'd otherwise spend meal planning, shopping, and chopping, so you can get back to what matters. HelloFresh's family-friendly menu is a big win for back-to-school season with easy, delicious recipes for drama-free dinners. HelloFresh offers 50 menu and market items to choose from every week, with vegetarian meals and calorie-smart choices to extra special gourmet options. There's something for everyone to enjoy, with recipes designed and tested by professional chefs and nutritional experts to ensure deliciousness and simplicity. I love HelloFresh. I post this stuff on my Instagram stories all the time. I used my own promo code to get it. Go to HelloFresh.com/14Robbie. That's 14ROBBIE. Promo code 14Robbie for up to 14 free meals, including free shipping. 14 free meals is a promo code you won't get anywhere but HelloFresh. All right, let's get into this interview with Anthony Bowens. And right after that, I'll kick it right to our interview with the Gun Club. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. Enjoy these interviews. Welcome back to My Mom's Basement, ladies and gentlemen. I am here with wrestling's five-tool player, AEW's own Anthony Bowens. This is a guy that I've known for a long time. I feel like people probably don't even realize it. I was going to Wrestle Pro shows in high school and watching this guy rise through the ranks of his hometown independent, basically, and now AEW Dynamite coming to the home state, Newark, New Jersey tonight. It's going to be awesome. And Anthony, I've said this on Twitter, but I just want to say it here for the people. Nobody back in those days was nicer to me when I was setting up the rings and doing the spotlight than you. I've always appreciated that.
Well, thank you, Robbie, first of all, and thank you again for having me on the show. And I remember you showing up to one of the Pro Wrestling Syndicate shows or WrestlePro shows. I'm like, who is this kid that's always standing around? And I felt so bad because nobody would be no one came up to you. I'm like, let's welcome this kid. Clearly you're a big wrestling fan. You're a good friend of Pat Buck. I think you were designing his gear and such. And then I think you trained a little bit too at the school.
An infamous class. It was Bowens, MJF, Fox. That's what they say about Create a Pro.
Great. But yeah, I'm always making sure that if people are lingering around, that they feel welcome, because I used to go to a ton of shows and stuff by myself, and I'd want to feel welcome too. So.
Well, speaking of Create a Pro and just training there, like under Pat Buck, I wanted to ask what that experience was like, because we hear so much about Create a Pro now, and I feel like it's like finally people are coming around to it where they're realizing, yeah, this school is getting people TV ready. They're getting people seriously like ready in short amount of time for this. And it's both you and Max Caster have Create a Pro ties. So what was that experience like for you?
It was great. I think Pat was one of the best wrestling minds in the business, and I think he's a fantastic trainer. And I think the school has a good set of fantastic trainers. There's Create a Pro New York, and there's Create a Pro New Jersey. New Jersey with Pat and Brian Myers. New Jersey, Pat Buck. At one point, it was Dan Moff, Mario Boccara, Kevin Matthews, and a bunch of other veterans like Justin and Mark Carino, Falaba. So it was a good collection and mix of minds that kind of helped at least developed my career and I guess my psychology and all of those like really, really important things that have led to me being where I am today.
When you watch wrestling, who are the wrestlers you watch to learn from in terms of psychology? Like whether it be going back, whether it be guys today, who do you actually gravitate towards and say, like, I like the way that their mind works when it comes to wrestling?
It really depends on what mood I'm in and what I'm trying to learn, because I've always been a big fan of Eddie Guerrero, Chris Jericho, Shawn Michaels. I love watching those guys. A lot of times lately I've been, or not lately, I guess pre-pandemic, I was really into New Japan and studying the more, I guess, not strong style, but more the back and forth type of professional wrestling. So I like to try and mix everything together to try and make one complete package that's authentic to me. Does that make sense?
And obviously, you've been working tag stuff with the Acclaimed, but when you watch Anthony Bowen's singles matches and Anthony Bowen's tag matches, I feel like you work both styles so well. Which one do you prefer, if any?
Good question. So I mean, it's out there now, but I'll say it again. I was a singles wrestler on the independents for 8 years pre AEW, pre the Acclaimed. I was in a tag maybe the first 2 years with, I don't know if you remember AC Gamble.
Yep.
The Untouchables. We did a tag team thing for, I guess, a little bit. And I didn't particularly understand tag team wrestling back then. I kind of just did it. And then when I got to AEW and got paired with Caster, and all of a sudden we're in the best tag division in the world, I had to kind of relearn everything and fast. So that was kind of, it was a challenge. It was a bit stressful as much as it was fun. I've had a recent singles run in the last couple, prior to last week, and it was fun. It was good to show everyone that I can, because in a tag, sometimes you get a little bit limited because obviously you're sharing time with somebody else. There's 4 people in the ring as opposed to 2. I got to show AEW that I can, go as a singles guy with some of the top people there. And honestly, as long as I'm on the show, I don't mind either one.
What made you understand tag team wrestling like this go around better than originally? Was it just you growing as a professional wrestler, or was it working with the better roster? Was it a combination of both?
Combo of both. Like we were immediately thrown like directly into the mix with everything.
Yeah.
Tony brought Caster and I together and said, "Hey, you're the Acclaimed. It's yours to create." And it's like, what is the Acclaimed? Who are we? What do we do as a team? What are our tag maneuvers? How do we like?
Yeah, how detailed was Tony's original pitch? I know he brought you guys in together. Like, how much freedom did you guys get in that?
Literally, it was exactly what I just said. He was like, "Hey, I like both of you guys. I've been wanting to call someone the Acclaimed." Actually, from Chris Jericho told me that the original name of the Inner Circle was supposed to be the Acclaimed. It was supposed to be
wow.
Jericho and the Acclaimed. And one way or another, it ended up as Inner Circle. So then they bestowed that upon us, which was a big honor. And then he was just like, "Yeah, you guys are the Acclaimed, and you're wrestling in 2 hours." Like, okay, go. And Caster and I are just like, "Well, what is this? What do we do? Like, how do we?" If you go back and watch, you can find it on Dark. I think it's us against Trent and Chuck Taylor. That was our first match together, and it was, I can't watch it. So cringy because we didn't know what was, like, he was rapping, he didn't have music under it or over it. I wasn't doing like my meme generating hype man type thing, so I'm just like standing there awkwardly, and we didn't have a move set. The match ended up being pretty good, but he just left it to us to create. And over the next few weeks, we were just like, "Hey, well, you're the rapper. You're the Acclaimed rapper. I'm the critically acclaimed like sports entertainer with the YouTube and the acting and wrestling, modeling, all that stuff. Combine it together. Plus, I'm a hype man for the raps." And then each week we just started adding a new element and started to shape, I guess, the Acclaimed as you see us today. And I think the cool part is, as a fan, you can see the evolution from day one. Like,
Yeah.
you can watch every dark. I don't know why you would do that, but you can watch every from start to where we are now and see how we developed every single week in ring and as characters. And I think that's pretty cool.
That's really, and especially for like the local guys like me that have seen you in WrestlePro, seeing where the Acclaimed has gotten to at this point, it's friggin' awesome, man. It's like, oh my God, this is crazy. It's so cool. And working with tag teams like Best Friends, working with tag teams like the Young Bucks, what is that like? Do you learn more from them from actually getting in the ring with them, or from talking about the match with them prior and just seeing how their mind works as far as that goes? Like, how is that working with veterans like them?
It's awesome. And a lot of one of the many good things about AEW is we have a plethora of resources at all times to learn from. So now that I'm comfortable enough to, approach people, because, I'm naturally a pretty shy guy, and I feel like I'm bothering people. Now I'm established on the roster. I'm comfortable taking advantage of those resources and, doing tape study with FTR or the Bucks, and just kind of trying to pick up different elements from all these great minds that we have around us. So there's a little bit of that. And there's also learning, in the ring. There's a lot of stuff that just, tends to happen out there, and then everything is like a learning experience. And then you can kind of go back and reflect with them afterwards. So there's never a day where you're not learning something, I guess, no matter who you're in the ring with. And I don't know, it's just been really fulfilling and rewarding being able to work with these guys, because, they're the best, they're elite, they're the best wrestlers in the world. And to have really good matches with them and have them be very happy and complimentary afterwards is kind of like it's very satisfying to know that I am on these guys' level, and all the work that I've put in over the last 8 or 9 years was worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned Eddie, Shawn, Jericho, some of your favorite wrestlers to watch. Who are some of your favorite tag teams to watch?
I mean, if I'm going back to the kid, I was a big Hardy Boys fan. I love the Hardy Boys. I watch a lot of Edge and Christian lately, because I feel like we're almost not modeled after them, but it's kind of like a similar vibe, or like early 2000s Edge and Christian, where they're these crazy goofballs that you can tell they're having such a blast with each other and doing all these funny things, but then when they get in the ring and they kick ass, I don't want to be Edge and Christian, the Acclaimed or the Acclaimed, but I feel like that's a good
same wavelength. I see what you're saying. Yeah.
I've been watching a lot of them lately.
I love that answer. I mean, both of them are doing such great work right now, and it's crazy to see them doing it. Whereas, 5 years ago, we would have never imagined this. You came out as bisexual a number of years ago. You did an interview actually with Barstool Sports with Pat about it. And over the past couple of years, I feel like the LGBTQ community in wrestling has really flourished, like even more so to the point where when you came out, what did it mean to you to get to talk about that a little bit with the big show this year, Paul White?
When I did first come out, I identified as bi. As I did some soul searching over the last couple years, I actually made another video announcement. I do identify more as gay, just to put that out there. But that being said, there was a lot of time spent, I guess, in my early 20s, trying to figure out who I was and stressing over, judgment, societal judgment. Would I have a career? Would fans accept me? Would other wrestlers accept me? Would there be situations where I'd have to defend myself because people don't like my quote unquote lifestyle? There was a lot of that anxiety, and there was a lot of that fear, and it's mind-blowing to think that I can have a sit-down interview with Paul White, someone I grew up watching since I was a child, discussing that to the world. I don't think about it as much as I should, and, kind of reflective. I try to stay in the moment and just keep going, because everything comes at you so fast now at AEW that I probably should take more time to stop and think like how wonderful it is that I'm able to be myself authentically in a locker room like AEW and on television, and be, a positive representation of the LGBT community as an entertainer and as an athlete. And, there was a time in my life where I didn't think that would be able to happen. And there's moments where I wish that I can go back and, tell younger me, like, don't cry, don't, sit in the garage in your car by yourself and just bawl your eyes out, because everything's going to be okay. I'm trying to fight back a little tears right now thinking about it, because it was such an emotional, scary time in my life, and to see how it's all turned out is absolutely insane. And now I'm lucky enough to try and help people who were in my shoes, and hopefully I am. If there's at least one person I can help, then job well done.
Dude, I definitely think they're out there. I think when you see the fan community that's out there, of just LGBTQ fans that go to the shows together now, and they like plan groups on Twitter, It's awesome to see. It's like the representation that you provide, I think definitely helps a lot of them. And as a friend, I'm very proud of you as well. We'll do some fun ones to close it out so the tears can stop. Who do you want to work with in AEW that you have not yet gotten in the ring with yet?
I mean, we went through a lot pretty fast. It was Jericho, it was the Bucks, and we, checked those off the box pretty quickly. Same thing, I wanted to wrestle Pac, got him 2 weeks ago. Cody, Kenny Omega. I watched, like I said, I got big into New Japan, so to have Kenny here as a resource and as somebody that I can potentially, have a banger with, he's definitely one of them. There's a ton of people on the tag roster that we haven't hit yet. I'd love to do FTR. I'd love to Proud and Powerful. Hopefully New York City maybe next week.
Yeah.
There's so many different tag teams that I think we would have an interesting dynamic with. I think 2.0 would be an interesting one too, because it's two really big, eclectic kind of characters going head to head with so many different possibilities. So there's a lot to be excited about for the Acclaimed and for fans.
And then if I could open the forbidden door and say someone outside of AEW, could be in WWE, New Japan, could be in any company out there, who would you want to work outside of AEW?
Give me Ibushi. Give me Tanahashi. I want to go with these dudes so badly. I think they would be my top picks.
Wow, Ibushi and Tanahashi, those are fantastic. And my final question, this is a question we used to ask every guest on From the Top Rope. Can you recommend us an obscure match? Could be one that you were in, could be one that you just enjoy as a fan that you don't think many people have seen, but you think people should see.
An obscure, define obscure.
Kevin Owens' answer to this was Brock Lesnar versus The Big Show Survivor Series. Go back and rewatch that because it was fantastic in 2004, I think it was.
I wish you asked me this beforehand, so I had to I don't know what to think to give you on.
It could be one of your own matches that you're like, I feel like this one didn't get enough credit.
I mean, that's kind of the easy answer. I don't want to put myself like. If we're going with that, myself and TJ Crawford, we did a 30-minute draw in Union, New Jersey, right before I got signed last year, and that was one of my favorite matches. He's actually one of my favorite opponents and somebody that I think could be, a big star with. Like if he's the next big star in the Indies, if he's able to have the opportunity to break out, TJ is really, really good. And
that's a great answer.
Yeah, one of my favorite opponents, and there wasn't a lot of people there, but we went out there, and it was our second show after the pandemic or back from the pandemic, and we just went out there and kicked the absolute shit out of each other, and people were going crazy. And it was
Union, New Jersey, the building with the really tiny ceilings.
Yeah, but we did it in the back outside.
Oh yeah.
So it was pretty dope.
Yeah, I got lost coming back from there one day and wound up in like a sketchy area. It wasn't in Union though. It was like I went the complete opposite area. It was a whole conundrum. But yeah, great times in that building.
Yeah, it's actually, I don't know if it's one of my favorite buildings, but actually I had another banger with TJ before that the following year and with Casey Navarro. That building has a lot of good matches in it.
Yeah, it really does. WrestlePro put on some amazing shows back then with like some amazing talent too that has now gone on to like such big heights. Mm-hmm. And you're one of them. And I'm proud of you. Like I said, it's awesome to see. I'm excited for Dynamite tonight in New Jersey, home state. Anthony Bowens, thank you very much.
Thank you for having me, Robbie. And I'm proud of you too, because I know you've always wanted to work for Barstool, and you always wanted to, I remember you had your own podcast talking about MMA, and to see you do all the cool stuff that you're doing with UFC, and just to be out like one of the biggest guys there, personalities there, is absolutely awesome. So I am equally as proud of you, buddy.
Hell yeah. Thanks, man.
Later, buddy.
Hello and welcome to My Mom's Basement. It's Robbie Fox, and I am here with the Gun Club. I've got Austin, I've got Colton, I've got Billy, the undefeated Gun Club, by the way.
Say that.
Thank you.
That a
Thank
little
you for
loud.
adding
Can you
that.
repeat that one more time?
Yep. Let me step away from the mic, make sure there's no pop. The undefeated Gun Club. We got to start showing these guys some respect.
A little bit anyway, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm pretty sure I've earned it. And I'm pretty sure being as I'm carrying those two, they earned it.
We're here. It's the morning of the Arthur Ashe show. I wanted to just ask, like, memories of wrestling in New York. What's the first thing that comes to mind?
It's funny because, the jaunt that we walked over here, because it's nowhere to get easy here in New York, as everybody knows if you've ever been to New York. And I've been here plenty of times. We passed the Garden, and I told the boys how many times I've sold out the Garden myself. I made sure that they knew that their dad sold out the Garden. No, it's it's amazing because this is kind of, in that other place that we were at was a big deal. The Garden was a big deal. And when we sold it out, I know we sold it out a couple times, but it was insane. I was just telling the people were just bonkers. It's electric. I mean, it really is. It's a lot of fun to wrestle in New York because the people are into it. This is their thing.
Do you feel like I just watched the Adam Cole entrance from the last Dynamite in New Jersey? Just the crowd went crazy for just his music.
They were going wild.
So I was recording that with Colton just so I could so I could have that moment because like when he came out, huge pop, his music's cool, and then he comes down and he does that swing, and then I was like, oh shit! I got my phone out really quick. And just every single person around us was just standing in their seats, just with their hands up in their air. Like, it was nuts.
Yeah,
like every little kid to every 55-year-old male, just Adam Cole, baby. It's just like it was like this is crazy.
Yeah, they were so into it.
The sound in there, just like it was nuts.
Now I tweeted, I said this sounds like the kind of reaction that guys would get in the late '90s. Now I was born in '98, so I don't really know that. I just know it from the WWE Network. As someone that was there, do you agree? Like the reactions people are getting in AEW now are similar to the late '90s reactions.
I think what's with the people that we're getting, because I was in Chicago when Punk first debuted at the United Center, and everybody was actually because. Like, you don't know it until you've been in it and heard it yourself. Yeah. Like, for people, and not bragging, but just heard it, like, people make that noise for you and then to hear it for somebody else. When Punk was about to debut, I ran out into the people, into the front row, because it's one thing to hear it in the back and watch it on TV. It's another to be in the people. And when you haven't heard, like I was trying to explain to people, those are emotional reactions. They're not reactions just because, hey, you're a good guy. Hey, we're in Mama's basement. Yay! Hey, we haven't seen Mama's basement for a while. Oh my God! There's a difference between just reacting and emotional reaction. And Punk's and the Adam Cole and the Daniel Bryan, all of those are emotional. People are like they feel it. Yeah. Like you feel it like deep inside your guts kind of feeling. So, like, I wanted to feel the people. And when I went out there, I literally got goosebumps, and I almost was like the guy in the front row and started crying. Yeah. Because you don't,
is that
like,
Billy
like
Gunn
you
crying?
said, you don't. Yeah.
Billy Gunn is crying
maybe,
in the front row.
Maybe
Let's
we
get
can
a
give
close
him a meet and greet with Punk. But it's bone chilling, and you don't hear it anymore. You don't hear emotional reactions like that anymore. You just don't. I mean, especially with Punk being gone so long and people really anticipating his return, and then you have Adam Cole come over, and then you have Daniel Bryan come over, and you go, I don't know if I can take anymore.
And then you remember there was also Ruby Soho and Suzuki on that show, and there's so many surprises and moments you can't keep track.
Yeah.
So me and Colton sit in the suite every show. If we're not on the show, we go up to the suite and we just watch the show as fans, because me and Colton are the biggest wrestling fans probably.
We saw over the past couple of years.
Right? Just like we're the biggest fans at heart. So like when we're up there, I mean, we used to watch Dad in the Attitude Era. Like, we would go to the shows, but we were little and we couldn't, like, really just watch the full show. But we go up there, and now we're wrestlers watching other wrestlers that just have made it elsewhere and are so successful and so good at what they do. So when they come out, not only are we watching film, but we're watching as fans as well. Yeah. And we're just, like, so in tune. I'm up. I literally was one of those people that was like, Adam Cole! I was like, Colton, watch this. Hold on, the whole crowd's going to do this. And I just, like...
You
we're
can't
both
help
fans.
it. You just
Yeah,
get so engulfed in it.
It's just great. It's a great feeling.
You get that like infectious vibe from the whole AEW roster. I feel like everyone's supporting everyone. I wanted to ask you guys, what is your favorite moment that you guys have gotten to experience in AEW, and then your favorite moment you've gotten to experience like for someone else as a member of the crowd?
Okay, I think. Personally, it's like a milestone for us. Is like my favorite moment was probably our first pay-per-view. And our first pay-per-view was just me and you only. Yep. And that was a cool thing because, like, as much as Dad's helping us and is there for us and wrestling with us and coaching us and, like, doing everything with us, it was like now that was a moment where me and Colton were just like, we have to show up. We have to do this really well, and we have to hold ourselves accountable. And it was super cool because I've been in the business for 3 years now, and watching Colton go from where he started and just this rapidly happening so fast. and him like before we went out there, we were just shaking, and we were just like, dude, this is so cool. It was just an excitement because we always talked about this as kids, doing this as kids and being a tag team and winning the belts and stuff like that. But we literally are looking at each other, and we're about to go out, and our music's about to hit, and we get to be our character. Like, it's just all coming to life, and it's just such a surreal moment. And I think the first pay-per-view, that's just cool in general.
Yeah, mine would probably be our first match together. Like, that was just crazy. It finally got done, and we're standing there with our hands raised, and I'm looking, I'm like, I just had a match with my dad and brother, on my first match ever on AEW Dark, and I was just like trying to take it in, but trying to figure out what the hell just happened.
Yeah.
Like, it was just, that was probably my favorite because it was just crazy. Like, yeah, we just did this.
As a crowd moment, we were there for a lot of debuts. FTR debuted during the pandemic. Sting was on the
yep,
like we had like 5,000 in there, or 2,500 or something like that in Daly's Place. Sting was cool. I'm honestly just a huge fan of Tanahashi, and I'll just say it again. When I first heard that, I literally was in the living room, and I was just like, wait, what? Who's gonna come? That's the only person that I really just genuinely just freak out
I'm
about.
a huge fan of his match with Tanahashi.
Eat shit, bitch. We talked about that the other day. Eat shit, bitch. I went, Dad, no.
I have a bad habit of doing that. I get lost in the moment. Like, I try not to carry a lot of that over to what I do, but it's just so in me that I just get so lost in the moment, and I get so excited, I just start
so
doing
amped up.
so
jacked up.
He does get amped up. We were in practice one time, and we were just going through the motions and kind of just getting the feel for the ring when Colton was trying to train. Like, why don't you be on, Dad, why don't you team up with one of these new kids, and me and Colton will work as a tag team. He goes, all right, cool, we'll come back, bang, 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 whatever, here, and I was like, cool. So hot tag goes to Dad, and literally as he's coming through the rope, you can just see him just start amping up, and his veins start popping out. It's like when
it's like the Hulk.
Yeah, like when the Hulk starts to transfer into the Hulk.
Yeah.
Literally, that's what happened. And as he was in the ring, literally you were looking in his eyes, but he wasn't looking at you. He was looking right through. He comes with a fist right to my forehead. Bang. Colton. Bang. To me, and I went, oh my God. Before I could even register that he actually hit me for real, here comes another fist. Bang. Dude, he beat us up so bad that day. But it's just because he gets excited, gets amped up, and I was like, dude, you got to chill. We are in a warehouse with 2 people. Like, you don't have to punch.
No, this is my moment.
No, this is it.
Practice like you play.
Yeah. Hot tag, baby. Yeah, here it comes.
They're going wild for me.
Here comes the pain. Eat shit, bitch. Dad, I'm your son. Eat shit. Like,
don't care.
It's ridiculous.
It's a good excuse for, like, the times you didn't clean your room. Like,
yes.
Boom, I'm laying one in.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Sorry, I get amped up, kid. Just ridiculous.
I talked to Anthony Bowens last week, and we were talking about singles wrestling versus tag team wrestling. And I wanted to know for all 3 of you, like, what is the differences that you find in tag team wrestling and singles, and which one do you prefer?
So I'm a tag guy. I just am. I mean, I like them because I'm a very controlling person. So I like to control everything, and I like to know what everything's going on. Plus, I feel there's more action and more components that you can play with. Mm-hmm. Like
getting that hot tag.
Yeah. yeah, like that.
I can beat up 2 people instead
of
1.
Everything in tag seems to build towards something. Mm-hmm. Like, you can do that in singles, but I just never was into the singles thing because it's all about it is all about you, but it's how you structure singly. To where I feel it's just more excitement and more stuff you can do in tags. I had a little bit of a singles run, but I never really was into it. Because I just like tags. I like the format. I like the stuff that you can do. And you can be so creative in tags if you just let yourself. Yeah. And it doesn't mean, fly around and flip and do all that. It's just the psychology of how you put it together. Yeah. It's like
FTR is a good team that.
Yeah,
that,
I mean,
right?
it's all in the person. It's everybody working together. It's the guy on the outside caring about the one that's getting beat up and letting everybody know that you do care. And where the tag comes in, if I don't care about the person that I'm working with that's getting beat up, then the tag won't mean anything. But if you're getting enough heat on somebody that I care about, the minute you touch me is where what they were talking about comes into play. I literally lose my shit. And you have to, because that's what makes the people buy into what you're doing. And that's who I work for. I work for the people. I don't work for me. Like my wrestling, I know is wrestling, but if I can get the people on board, it doesn't matter what I do because they'll buy into what I'm doing. And that's the whole thing. We wrestle for people, and I feel like that gets lost a little bit, is that I'm just wrestling. How good are me and you? Well, who cares? Like, you're not paying me. Like, I pay for these people because I want to be a huge star. And the people will make me a huge star, not him or the person that I'm working. But if we make magic together and the people buy into it, then when they leave, whether they came to see whoever they came to see, I want them to remember me at the end of that. And that's involving the people.
Yeah. What about you guys? Do you guys like working tag?
I would say tags is better just because it's so fun. Like, you have 4 people right there and you're trying to put this thing together and ideas are just flying everywhere. You're like,
True,
yes, we can use that, and then he can do this, and you're like, I'm making spots for Austin to do, like, and this would be so sick if he can't. And it's just like super exciting, and there's just more components. Like with the singles, I haven't even had a singles match like on TV, so I can't really speak on it. But like, the
do you know how many matches you've had at this point?
27.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
And how many have you lost? How many have you lost?
Yeah, and I've won 27. But yeah, I just think it's so fun to have everyone there and just bouncing ideas off of each other and then going out and executing. And you're on the ring apron like, this is so sick.
Yeah, it also lets you be your character. I enjoy, honestly, being on the apron more when you're in the ring because it allows me to be just a dickhead.
Yeah.
And I get to look around and look at the people and look at the little kid that I'm making cry and stuff. And it's just like you pick on one person and then they all just like gather up on that person and they try to get you, and like it's really great because it's so underrated how significant being on the apron and doing the small stuff, like not just wrestling. It's just like the character that you add in here and there during a tag. It's just really great. Also, it lets me breathe a little bit because I am winded after I'm yelling at people during I'm blown up at the entrance.
Yeah.
Then I get in the ring and I'm like, all right, you tag in here. Here, you do this.
I'm gassed. Do something.
Do something, please. I think my experience with singles is just like, I didn't really have a character yet, so it was just really hard to get people and like you have to learn body language and when to fire up, and like you have to learn all these little opponents and you're doing it by yourself. So if you can't do it, there's nobody to rely on. There's no Colton, there's no dad on the apron to rely on to help you with that. So it's like if you don't have the people from the get-go and you lose them and you're just like, come on, and then they're just like,
No.
Then you're like, you really have no fallback. That's the hard thing about singles is just you have to be so in depth with your character and they have to know your. I don't know. It's just that's just my experience. It's just like I had such a hard time as a second generation wrestler. It's just like, please cheer for me because of who my dad is, and they're like, no, that's why we don't want to. And it was just so hard being a babyface during that time. It was just
the new change of character, change of direction for the Gun Club has been very interesting. I kind of love it. Whose idea was this?
I think it was a collective kind of idea more, and I think Tony kind of wanted us to kind of just put, but the problem with doing that is how do you, like, I've been a good guy for a long time. Like, it's hard. Like, when we heard it, we went, oh, good luck with that.
Really? Like, I would have thought the way I saw the promo, I would have thought you guys were itching to go heel.
So we were, like, I hate being a babyface. Okay. I hate being a good guy with a passion.
Yeah.
Although it was just where it went.
Yeah.
And that's what I've been for the past 20 years. You know, but I love being a bad guy, though. It just gives you a little bit more freedom, and plus me and my aura and the way that I am, I'm a really good heel. It's just when I had Brian, you just can't be that.
Yeah.
You just can't. Like, no matter how much
Yeah.
they hated me and they, oh, if he wasn't with you, we would hate your guys. But that's, but I think he has more of heel being a bad guy tendencies than this one. Although now we get to kind of feed off of each other. It was just how do we get to where we need to get to? And I think that's where the sacrificial lamb of Paul White comes into play.
Sorry, buddy.
Because he is I wouldn't say he's a bigger baby face than we are, or than I am. You know, just, bigger in life.
Yeah.
But it's just how do you get the people to switch over and believe that? And that's the biggest thing is rather than just do something to go, oh, okay, now you're bad guys, we get it. You don't want them to do that. You want to do something that makes a statement that they legitimately go, okay, that's uncalled for, kind of thing. But being a bad guy's awesome.
Oh.
It's so.
And I think it's
that's all me.
ingrained.
That's all me.
I think it's somehow also ingrained in the people's heads that they want to hate me in Austin.
Yeah.
Like they just like, oh, they're second generation. They didn't have to work for this, so we hate them.
So that was the
Austin
point.
has a punchable face.
That was the point I was trying to make. Is like, as I'm trying to be a baby face before Colton got in the business, I was behind Dad, and Dad would come out of the tunnel and he'd get a huge pop, right? And I'd be following him, and then it's just like. You can feel the energy from the people and that they just like they love him, but they don't appreciate that I got the free ticket or whatever they want to say as an excuse. They don't know how hard me and Colton work behind the scenes. They have no idea. But like what they see and what we're giving them is just like oh, second generation, he probably got a free ticket. I don't want to cheer him, but he's with Billy. All right, I'll give him a couple of these. So like on Twitter, then you started reading over the years of like, oh, you got a free ticket, blah, blah, blah. You don't do, boo gun club, boo gun. Like, it's like we are working so hard, whatever. So I was like, when I was so excited for this heel turn because I can finally just be myself. Now I can finally just really just give it to the fans. So when the first heel match we had at Prudential Center, I was coming down, and I didn't even care about the entrance. I was just like, who am I going to fight? Like, who can I fight in the fans? I want one guy to say, like, oh, second generation, whatever. I want some person. And some guy did it in the front row, and I literally got out of the ring at the end of the match, and I was like, get over here. Come over this ramp. Like, I was, like, begging him to come over the guardrail because I just wanted that so bad. I was just able to release that energy that I've had for so long. It's just, like, underappreciated and, like, not respected. So it's like it allows me to be myself. So I can just go out there and be cocky and just
and just to touch on like everybody like I don't know where like just because they're second generations, I have that kind of stroke to go to Tony and go, hey, hire my kids because they like right? Like if anything, they work twice as hard as anybody. No, I know for a fact that they worked twice as hard as anybody on the roster. And that's not putting anybody on the roster down. But I have high expectations for them. If you want to do this, you jump 110%. You don't get to come in at 50 or 60%. Because if you do, I will literally just lace your ass. So they work for it. I mean, they
just
work for
lace it up.
I mean, they work for
Double
everything that they've gotten. I didn't, not one time, and this is honest God's truth, did I go to anybody and say, hey, they really work hard. Can you hire them? Like, and because then you get the feeling, okay, now we have, a little bit of an obligation to kind of lean forward to do this. And he literally, when he got hired, he literally went to them and say, hey, because he went somewhere else first. He went to ROH first, and it just wasn't working out. Like he was just miserable, and that's okay because that's like when he came home. I just literally asked. I said, "Can you live with this? I mean, is this something like? Don't do it just because you're miserable. Life is miserable. Like this business is miserable. like you have to be able to wade through it. Like I waded through it for 20-something years. Yeah. You just have to be able to be strong enough to know that there's going to be big ups and downs. So when he left ROH and he said he went to AEW, everybody, and asked them hey, do you mind if I get a tryout or whatever? I didn't do it. Yeah. I didn't do a thing. I said, this is all.
I remember.
Well, I requested Dad not to be in the meeting. And I came back. I was super depressed and super down. And Dad gave me the pep talk. And I go, all right, if I plan this correctly and I get an okay. So I called Cody. That's who I called. And I go, hey, Cody, I was like, I don't want Dad to know that I'm calling you right now. I don't want anything. I literally just asked Dad for Cody's number. So I called him and I go, hey, I'm in a rough spot. And I understand you don't give out free tickets. But listen, I was like, if you give me one shot, one opportunity to seize everything I ever wanted.
I heard that in a song one time. Could you capture it?
But I was like,
spaghetti come and
like,
play too?
So he's like, I'm cooking mom's spaghetti. So I asked Cody, I was like, the January 1st show, I have 30 days to get my ass in shape, to look the best I ever could at that time. And I was like, can I do it? And I was like, if you give me one shot, literally, I don't care if it's a singles or a tag. I will show you that I am serious. I'm capable of taking this all the way. And Cody was like, all right, we will give you one dark match. It's not going to be long, but it's to see how well you work, what you can do, blah, blah, blah. And I go, perfect, thank you so much. I called Mike O'Hearn, and I called Mike O'Hearn the day after, and I go, I need 30 days to get me just shredded. I need to look the best I could. And I stuck on the 30-day blitz. No, there's free press for you. Piece of shit. No, but he helped me get just my body right. Dad helped me get my mind right, and I just trained for 30 days, and I went out there, and it just...
Who was the match against, the first one?
It was against Sean Spears and 10 from the Dark Order.
Wow.
Oh, yeah. It was a dark. It didn't even air. It was literally just to see how well I worked. And I came through the tunnel, and literally it's just been up. It's just... been awesome. It's been a journey from there.
And they work twice as hard when they're not at work. Like, I literally yelled at them the other day. Like, literally yelled at them.
He got pissed. Like,
because
for real.
They don't know how to manage what they're doing. So they literally are at the school every day. Like, they're there every day. And yes, I do appreciate it, but sometimes your body has to rest because our bodies are not meant to do what they do. Yeah. That to understand, yes, I get it. That's cool. I'm into you guys going, but sometimes you just got to sit back, take a deep breath, let your body heal a little bit, because we travel every week.
The choir over here.
I know. I'm just letting him go. I'm just letting him go on this soapbox.
Let him go, and then let's just tear this all apart.
But you just have... But once in a while, you have to. They're not like, I'm from a different era. Like, I'm used to just tearing myself to shreds. Hence why I do what I do these days. Go to the gym and do what I do. But I don't want them to do. I want them to be able to function by the time they're my age. You know, I barely function now. Like so. But it's trying to just get them to manage their time and to manage their bodies and to understand. Hey, you have a couple aches and pains. Go sit home. Just relax. Or go to the school and just watch, because they won't do that. I know they say, well, we'll just go, yes, okay. That's not going to happen. I know how this works, and I know how their minds work. But they literally do. They've earned everything and without my help, like literally without my help. And that's a fact. And people can take that for what it's worth, or believe it or not believe it. It doesn't matter. But we all know how hard they work. And people... for some reason, think that second generation people just have an open door. Like, yeah, hell, you suck. We'll hire you. Like that's just not a thing. It just isn't.
I think that's why it gets under our skin so much, or at least it just comes to our attention a bunch. And just like, dude, we go from our flight. We'll go from our flight here in New York. We'll go and we'll fly home tomorrow, but we get in at, 1:30 or something like that?
Yep.
And we'll be at practice from 5 to 9.
Yeah.
Like, when we touch down, we go home, we eat our meal, we try to take a nap if it's even available, and then we go straight to training. And then the next morning, guess who wakes us up? Dad, to work out for 3 hours. Then we go home, we eat, we sleep if we can, and then we go straight back to practice. So it's like every time we're not on the road, we're at practice and we're working out. When we're on the road, we work out, but we can't train in the ring because we don't have the ring available only for the shows. But how can we stay busy? That's how the Instagram thing came along. Yep. It's like we were like, how do we stay busy and just get our face out there and just have fun?
Yeah, they were like, we've been asking people to take this thing over. Like, give it to us.
Yeah.
We will do it.
Like,
right now.
why does nobody want to take that opportunity? 1.4 million people on Instagram. Are you nuts? Are you nuts? I went, give us this sign in, and that's what we did. It's just me and Colton were like, all right, how do we help the company? It's like, instead of just showing our faces, we started interviewing new talent that was coming in there and extras. And I had an extra one time say, nah, come back later. We're a little bit we're a little busy. I went, are you crazy, dude?
You guys did one with us when we were there.
Exactly. Yes. And I went, dude, that kid will never come back. Like, are you nuts? Like,
that's insane.
You're an extra trying to get hired, and then you didn't want to be on the Instagram. Like, you're crazy.
Yeah.
But we would just go over and just have funny skits for everybody. And then eventually it just became like everybody had their little skit, and then Eventually,
people-
everybody started coming up and like hanging around us and like,
Yeah, if they saw
"Hey,
it.
are you doing those Instagram skits?" Like, oh, now we see what you're doing. Now you're catching on.
like people would come up and be like, "Hey, what time you guys want to get that Instagram?"
Yeah. And they start scheduling us like, this isn't our job. Wait a second. And then that's how the crowd thing became too, because me and Dad were in Atlanta, and that's when the pandemic really hit.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh man, well, should we go out and at least cheer for them? And so they have some noise and stuff like that. They're not used to it.
Yeah, but that's the thing about this company. It's like they really appreciate everything you do. Like they don't understand where I came from, so they don't like they appreciate what they do, but they don't understand the other company's way of doing things to the way that this company. That's why, like, they could ask me to sweep the arena. I would literally do it, only because they appreciate it. It's
like the vibe of a startup almost.
Yeah, it's
really
the
great.
vibe of, hey, like Tony will, like, every time you work, like instantly the first one. Thank you so much. That was awesome. Whole. So you feel appreciated. You know, and you feel like, you know what, if he appreciates that, he'll appreciate this. And then you do the Instagram, and then you do the audience, and then you just do a bunch of things, and you don't think twice about it. You don't think twice about going, damn, they got me doing a lot of shit.
Yeah, that's the kind of stuff that Punk and Brian said kind of brought him to AEW.
Yeah.
Like
And
the
that's
stuff about the roster keeping Brody,
but all of
stuff is secret,
us,
all that.
Punk, Brian, me, that's what we want.
Yeah.
We want that kind of thing. Like, only because they were in that system too, and they understand how not appreciated you are.
Yeah.
You know, no matter how hard you work or how good you are or what you do, you're unappreciated. You know, but here it's a different vibe. So now you're energized again. Only because at 58, while I'm still doing this, is because I love what I do.
Did you say 58?
Yes.
58? Yes. Holy shit.
Dude, he's a monster, man.
Yeah, he's not human.
But it rejuvenated my career. I love what I do. I honestly do, or else I wouldn't do it this long. And now I get to do it with them, and I get to do it with this company. Like, I can go out there probably, if I wanted to, another 6 months. but that's how you feel, and that's how you want to feel. Like, you don't want to feel like a piece of shit when you're doing something that you love to do.
Yeah.
Like, we get to run around and act like complete idiots and get paid for it. Like,
Backstage, we're just having so much fun. Like, we don't treat it like a job. Me and Colton don't get treated like second generation. We get treated as like individuals, and we get hugs, and now we're making connections. Like, it used to be where like, oh, that's Billy Gunn's kid. Or those are Billy Gunn's kids. Yeah. At this company, it's just like, dude, we're developing like great friendships with like on our own. It's just like a cool like journey for us as well. It's like AEW just brings you in and just treats you like family, and then it doesn't matter that we're second generation. Like, it doesn't matter any of that. It's just like, are you a good person? Do you work hard? And like, it's cool. It's just, it's a great place to work. I love it so much.
Great atmosphere.
Yeah.
That being said, they got to start showing the Gun Club some more respect, guys.
Yes.
It was great having you in here, but a title shot needs to be coming. Hopefully, a trios title in the future. That would be the ultimate dream, right?
That would be. That if we were to do that, like the day after I would retire, and then they can have a tournament. I'll do the win the title and relinquish it all on the same day.
A retirement tour.
We didn't sign off on that.
Wait a second here.
Grand Slam tonight, Rampage on Friday. I can't wait. Check it out. Arthur Ashe in Queens.